Structure Scan 3D is the future of fishing. We can show you how to find fish faster and catch fish in a way you've never experienced. Let's get them.
Launching a Ranger aluminum boat that's cut full of holes may sound a little crazy, but with so much closed-cell foam inside, it's easy to see the added safety and stability. It's a huge confidence booster, especially with so much quality inside, along with ever-new D-Tech's unrivaled performance and 300 hours with no dealer scheduled maintenance. Ranger aluminum is built to excel and priced to be yours.
Power your Ranger with Evinrude E-Tech. You bought her many years ago, and she's been there for you every day since. It's because you've taken care of her, pampered her. Only the best will do. That's why you choose Lucas Oil Marine products to protect her. Every day she starts, gets you there, and gets you back, even after all these years. Lucas Oil Marine products, because it's no fun to walk back to shore from the middle of the lake.
You know, I've never really had an office job.
Ooh, morning, Skate.
Morning, Edwin. Go to teamgtfishing.com to see more.
Wild West Bass live here on Lake Havasu. It's Saturday of our Pro-Am Championship. We call Saturday Moving Day here because on Saturday you want to move into that top 10 so that you can fish tomorrow on Championship Sunday. I'm Craig Gottwalls. I'll be your host for this event and the weigh-in. And we've got a new pro talent with us here today. It's pretty exciting. We've got a local professional angler, Shane Moline. He calls Kingman, Arizona home. It's only about an hour away. Shane's been fishing as a professional all across the country for 17 years. He's called Phoenix, Arizona. No, Kingman, Arizona, excuse me, his home for his entire life?
Yes, I was born and raised in Kingman, about 60 miles north of here.
So Shane would normally be fishing this tournament. He would normally be one of our favorites, but he's between boats, so lucky for us, we've got some local talent to help us learn this fishery this weekend.
Yeah, it's been tough. It's been probably the toughest weekend of my life not being out on the water, but we got out there today and got to talk to some of the fishermen, and a little tough this morning. I'm hoping now with the wind, these guys can start catching them a little bit better than we've seen this morning.
Well, we really appreciate it. I know it's tough on Shane not fishing, but we sure appreciate having somebody of his caliber here to help us for something like this. And for those of you who are big fans of Wild West Bass, for the hundreds of you here in the crowd today and the millions and millions watching on the interwebs, don't worry, Gary Dobbins is okay. For those of you that know him, you know that it's been a lifelong passion of his to go ahead and quit everything, run away and join Greenpeace, and that's what he's done. He's off with Greenpeace. He's going to save the whales. He did say he'd come back and join us at some point, but he took off today. We couldn't hold him back after weigh-in. He was right out into the wild blue yonder. He's going to save some whales. So we're here with Shane today. Awesome. Hey, I'm going to reset just a little bit about this lake. It's a beautiful lake, Lake Havasu. I have not seen much of Lake Havasu. For those of you who are watching that don't know a lot about the size of Lake Havasu, it's 19,300 acre-feet at full pool, and that puts it a little bit smaller than Lake Roosevelt, a little bit bigger than Oroville or Trinity if you're somebody who's looking for a California type of comparison. It doesn't hold a lot of water. It's not a real deep lake like we have in Northern California. Hey, I'm gonna interrupt our production crew right now and ask them if they can turn that music down just a little bit in the trailer behind me. I mean, we're rocking up here, but we don't want to rock that hard. Jeremy, Angie, team. Help me out now. Okay, so we've got Lake Havasu is, it only holds about 0.62 million acre feet. So it's, again, a little smaller than Pleasant and just a little bigger than Comanche if you're looking for a comparison. But where this lake really shines, folks, where we have a big lake here, is when we look at miles of shoreline, Shane. This is, other than Lake Mead, the second biggest lake we go to. And Gary didn't believe me. He thought that was bogus. What do you think? Do you think this lake really has 450 miles of shoreline?
Yeah, I do, and I definitely think up in the river it's ever-changing with the different backwaters and how the tule and the silt bed set up. But if you drive this lake, you'll see it's fairly narrow. Doesn't hold a lot of water, but we have a lot of coves, a lot of bays, and even inside those bays and coves, sometimes we have backwaters in the lake. And so, yeah, I believe that number for sure.
Now, we know from yesterday that not a lot, I don't know if any of our top 10 went up that river, did they, on the north side of the lake here?
Yeah, we got one guy that was starting in the lake in the morning. He's fishing the lake in the morning, then he was running up the river in the afternoon and probably taking advantage of some current fish. And maybe even with the wind blowing, he might have been taking some advantage of the wind too. But we do have word that he ran up there today after he fished the lake. So he's kind of duplicating what he did yesterday, trying to duplicate his success. And with the conditions, I think it's probably the right choice.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. So we're on a desert lake here, folks. And a lot of people, when they're tuning in across the country, might think desert lake, clear water, light line, drop shot, Senkos, finesse fishing, and there's certainly enough of that going on. And you have that down here in the main body and then maybe the south end of the lake a little bit. But there's quite a bit of grass and tules on this lake too, right, Shane?
Yeah, we're very diverse here. I mean, we've got grass, tules, we've got weeds, we've got hard silt, we've got rock. The lake is very interesting. When we have heavy rains up north on the riverside, it'll actually cloud the water up down here in the basin. So right now we have limited visibility in the basin. So for the bedfish, it's really good. It makes it tough on the fishermen. But as you go down south and you run down south, you'll see that water start to clear up. And those guys down there probably exhausted those bedfish yesterday when they could see them before the winds got real bad. But up here, I think those fish are going to have a good spawn this year because of that cloudy water.
That's interesting, because one of the things I think we thought a lot about coming to this event, some of the pre-work we did on the event, was we were pretty confident this was going to be a sight fishing tournament. A lot of pros locked up on bedfish with coes sticking out in the lake and not having much to cast at. And that just hasn't really been the case, has it?
No, it hasn't. Last day of practice, which was Thursday, we had a massive dust storm, and something like I haven't seen in a long time. And not only that, but then the wind switched direction and started coming from the other direction. So it's really churned the lake up a lot, and it's made the bedfish not only spooky but very hard to see.
What direction was that wind coming on Thursday?
Thursday it was blowing straight out of the south.
Okay.
And by the time it was evening time, it had turned and coming straight out of the north, but just as hard. It didn't make that transition of a calm time. It went from south hard to north hard.
And when he says hard, folks, it was blowing 40 to 50 miles per hour for much of the day and the night.
Yeah, just west of here, Ludlow, California, they had 82-mile-an-hour gusts. They had a big pile up.
Yeah, I was flying through it.
Yeah.
I was on an airplane. Yeah, it wasn't a party, let me tell you. No, it wasn't good. I'll tell you, I've probably taken 100 flights in my life. I happened to decide to fly from California to Las Vegas on Thursday through the 82-mile-per-hour wind and dust storm, and I've never had a landing like that in my life. With 25 minutes left before we hit the ground in Vegas, I reached down and I tightened up that seatbelt because I was bouncing up out of my seat, and I thought, oh no. It's so bad, the flight crew never got out of their seats. We never got no peanuts, no nothing. I was going to die with an empty stomach. It was a little bit nerve-wracking. And then the dust storm was so bad that as we're flying into Las Vegas, you don't see anything. You just look out of the window and see brown. The next thing you know, boom, you're on the ground rattling around. So I was thinking, what is this going to do to the fishing?
Well, when I came in to the meeting on Thursday night, that's what it was like for me coming over the mountain. I couldn't see Lake Havasu. I couldn't see the lights. I couldn't see nothing over here. And so I knew that I was going to lay down into the lake, and that salt or that dust lays down on the lake, and it adds more turbidity to the water, so it makes it harder to see. So, and then with the waves coming from both directions, back to back like that, it really churns the lake up.
So you were not subject to the off limits because you weren't going to fish this event, which is nice. So you've been out here, you've heard stories, you know what's going on this lake. How was the bite out here before the tournament?
The bite going into the off limits was really good. it started to decline as the off-limits period started to end. And as you know, we have an off-limits period before our official practice. And as that off-limits period started to come to an end, the bite was declining. And then we got one decent day of practice on Wednesday, and then Thursday about reports about 10, 11 o'clock that wind really picked up, and it really made the fishing good. Fishing turned on, everybody was getting multiple bites. I've talked to guys getting 15, 20 bites, shaking fish off, cutting their hooks off because they were just on them. And then what happened Thursday evening with the wind and the dust, it kind of changed everything. And you've seen that yesterday with the weights. The weights were typically low for Havasu, and the numbers of limits were low for Havasu. So
yeah, that you're leading me right in. You know, all of that pre-work we do in the, you know, we've got a staff back here. It's like 40 some odd people. We sit back here for hours and hours and go through detailed notes, and we cue each other. And you're right on cue there, man. He's got it, leading us into our stats from yesterday. We had 96 boats. Okay. We had one bag over 20 pounds. That was our leader on the pro side, Mark Williams. We had 6 bags over 17 pounds. As of right now, after one day, it would take 15.27 pounds to get into the top 10 and fish tomorrow on Championship Sunday. If you wanted to just cash a check, the top 19 out of our 96 pros will cash a check at this event. So far, it would take 14.22 pounds to make that cut. To speak to what you just said, it was a tough event. There's no doubt about it that our anglers had a tough bite yesterday. 24% of our pro field caught 2 or less fish yesterday, and that's a tough bite, folks. It's a 5-fish limit, and 1/4 of our field caught 2 or less fish. Only 56% of the field actually caught a limit of fish. As far as big fish go, we had 5 pro fish over 5 pounds come to the scale. Nothing over 7. Our biggest fish was 6.5. And that was Mr. Jim Hawks, who brought in that one. It was a 6.49 pound fish. And I should probably go through our top 10, huh? We should get those names out there and start talking about these guys. So on the pro side, leading this event after one day with 20.17 pounds was Mark Williams. Second place, it's not a ploy or a ploice, it's a place. Second place, local Arizona, Lake Havasu City professional angler. He fishes everywhere. He fishes all the pro circuits. He's a consummate professional. Roy Hawk came in with 18.99 pounds. Third place, we had one of our road warriors, guy who travels down from Oregon, Mr. Jigs Ben, who had 18.62 pounds. Fourth place, another one of our road warriors from Northern California. He goes with us everywhere. He catches them everywhere. Great fisherman, an even nicer guy. Mr. Randy Pearson had 17.62. Fifth place, we had Jason's a local angler, right?
No, I don't believe Jason Akins is. I think
SoCal?
I think he's a Southern Cal guy.
Southern California angler. Sorry about that, Jason and family. Jason Akins, or Atkins?
It's Jason Akins, yes.
It's Jason Akins, thank you. Jason Akins, he's sitting in 5th place with 17.29. 6th place is Joseph Derling with 17.13. 8th place, another excellent Arizona professional angler. We know he caught him today. There's a little spoiler alert. Mr. Justin Kerr coming in with 15.90 yesterday. 9th place.
Yeah, don't forget Michael Caruso sitting in 7th. He's out of Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, did I pass him? Michael Caruso, Phoenix, Arizona, 7th place, 15.99. Justin Kerr, 15.90. 9th place, David Valdivia. He's coming in with 15.55 yesterday. David had a tough day on the water today. We'll talk a little bit about that. 10th place coming in today was Jason Cordiali out of Northern California. He was our Angler of the Year in Northern California last year. He had 15.27 yesterday, and then let's not leave him out because he's another local favorite, and I suspect he's going to do well today, and that's 11th place Ty Au, who had 15.03.
You know, I talked to Ty Al yesterday afternoon after he got off the water, and he was pretty distraught. He let some big ones go, so I agree, Craig. We probably ought to be looking at Ty to come in with another good bag today.
Yeah, and another little spoiler alert for you. Ty has a limit. We'll talk a little bit about that, too. I love to give the people that tune in early, they ought to get the data, right? I mean, we've got hundreds of people here. We've got millions on the interwebs. Let them know before we weigh them. That's what I say, huh? And if Mr. Dobbins doesn't like it, well, Gary, I know you're watching via satellite feed out on the Greenpeace ship. Tough, buddy. You're not here to hit me, so I'm good.
Hey,
All
I
right.
think it goes both ways when we talk about, these guys that we know have limits, but we also know these guys that didn't have limits when we seen them. Hey, this wind picked up. We know they can turn it on in a
That's
hurry.
right. We were off the lake about 2 hours ago. When we came off the lake, it was not blowing quite this hard, and most of our anglers told us they needed the wind to blow to catch better fish like they did yesterday. So some of these guys that were struggling, right, they're going to...
Yeah, and talking to a lot of guys yesterday, most guys, or not most, but a lot of guys caught their fish in the afternoon. These fish kind of get accustomed to this boat traffic, and that boat traffic picks up here. Those fish kind of start positioning where at least the locals know they position, and so you'll see the locals really in the afternoons excel.
Excellent. Let's go through our top 10 co-anglers very quickly. I won't take too long on this. We love our co-anglers, and we've got some great ones here for this event. Sitting in first place, Joshua Selga with 1289. Second place, Josh Reed with 1235. Third place, Robert Nicholson with 1193. Robert catches them everywhere. I think he caught them at our last event, too. Fourth place, Jim Herrero with 1058. Fifth place, Vincent Alcantara with 967. Sixth place, one of our youngest anglers, Manny Navarez the second. I like to call him the Deuce. Manny coming in with Manny Herod 960. Seventh place, Travis Jewell with 954. Eighth place, Dustin Robinson out of Phoenix, Arizona with 888. Ninth place, Jesse Parks with 887. And rounding out our top 10 was Michael Goodyear with 865. Any names there that jump out at you as being somebody to watch on the co-side, Shane?
Yeah, without a doubt, the top Arizona co-angler is Jesse Parks. Now, if you recall, he was in our top 10 at Mojave. He was championship day. This guy catches him wherever he goes. We fished with him. I didn't fish directly against him at Table Rock in Missouri last year, and he went and won his side at Table Rock when everyone counted him out on the last day. So definitely a name to look at. Dustin Robinson, another guy out of Phoenix. He's got a lot of hours here. Spends a lot of time here. Some new names in there that I recognize. Josh Reed, I know he's here with his parents, or at least I've seen his dad here. And like I said, Robert Nicholson's there. Jim Herrero. Jim Herrero is a guy from NAU that I believe was instrumental in starting their bass fishing team up there. He's a guy from Kingman. Him and his brother.
He's a
both
lumberjack.
Yes,
Aren't they the
is.
lumberjacks?
They are the lumberjacks.
Northern Arizona University, you're getting a shout out on Wild West Bass.
Yeah, he's here. But, I want to say something about the Wild West co-anglers. I fish all over the place, and I fish with a lot of co-anglers and a lot of different organizations. And I said this last year, and I agree with it even more this year. We have the best talented group of co-anglers out there. These guys catch them no matter who they're with, no matter where we're at. So we have a great field of co-anglers.
Excellent. Well, we're going to take a brief break and be right back with you with a little bit more on Wild West Bass Live. And the weigh-in's coming up soon, just after the top of the hour, folks. We'll be back in a moment.
You bought her many years ago, and she's been there for you every day since. It's because you've taken care of her, pampered her. Only the best will do. That's why you choose Lucas Oil Marine Products to protect her. Every day she starts, gets you there, and gets you back, even after all these years. Lucas Oil Marine Products, because it's no fun to walk back to shore from the middle of the lake.
Structure Scan 3D is the future of fishing. We can show you how to find fish faster and catch fish in a way you've never experienced. Let's get them.
Launching a Ranger aluminum boat that's cut full of holes may sound a little crazy, but with so much closed-cell foam inside, it's easy to see the added safety and stability. It's a huge confidence booster, especially with so much quality inside, along with ever-new D-Tech's unrivaled performance and 300 hours with no dealer scheduled maintenance. Ranger aluminum is built to excel and priced to be yours.
Power your Ranger with Evinrude E-Tech.
You know, I've never really had an office job.
Ooh, morning, Skate.
Morning, Edwin. Go to teamgtfishing.com to see more.
Welcome back to Wild West Bass Live. I'm Craig Gottwalls. This is professional angler Shane Moline, who's here, local Arizona professional angler. Some of you are used to seeing Gary Dobbins here next to me, but got to tell you the truth. We love Gary. He's okay. The reality of the situation is Gary was wanted. This is the last year of the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus, and they needed a Sasquatch man. So what they've done is they've co-opted Gary. They put him in a string bikini, and he's running around with the circus now. He's left this morning. He's traveling around, and, well, I think he's doing what he's always been meant to do, and that's playing Sasquatch in real life. So we love you, Gary. We miss you. We hope you're having a good time wherever you are.
Talking to him last night, he was really excited about
that opportunity. He really was.
Yeah,
we were out at the Chili's, and he couldn't hardly wait to finish his fajitas and his Coke and get on the road with the circus. I mean, it's Gary. You know, he's like, if you know him, you know he's always wanted to play Sasquatch in the circus, and who better to be a Sasquatch man, right? Really quickly, folks, thank you for coming back. Millions on the interwebs. Our crowd is getting, we got 200, 300, 400 people here now. It's getting insane. And we're going to go through and talk really quickly about the big fish. 5 biggest fish on the pro side. What did I tell you? $960 bucks?
Yeah, just under $1,000 for one fish.
Wow. So each one of these guys, if these 5 hold up for the tournament, the 5 biggest fish each get just under $1,000. It's like $960 per big fish. And that's over 2 days. We award those checks today. And right now our 5 biggest fish are a 649 from Jim Hawks, a 560 from Mark Williams, a 445 from Kyle Grover out of Southern California.
That's 545.
545, thank you so much. My Slisdexia is kicking in. Randy Pearson had a 511, and then Donnie Scroggins had a 505. So right now, in order to crack that 5 biggest fish, somebody would have to bring in a fish over 505 today on the pro side. On the co-angler side, big fish currently is 444 for Seth Myers, 440 for Michael Goodyear, 428 for Robert Nicholson, 4 pounds even for Jim Herrero, and Marty Hendrickson bringing up the rear with a 384 fish. So again, we need something over 384 today to crack big fish for the co-anglers. 5 biggest co's, 5 biggest pros each get to take home a check for just under $1,000 per fish, which reminds me, we're paying out 110% of entry fees here today and tomorrow. Some checks go out today, top 10 go out tomorrow. It's just under $100,000. We're paying out about $98,000 at this event, folks. These guys are going home with a lot of money. Our winner on the pro side, depending upon the contingencies he has, could take home over $20,000 tomorrow just at this event. So some pretty big money. Does that make you feel a little sicker that you're not fishing it?
Yeah, it does. Thanks. But anyways, I want to mention on the big fish, you know, we're all fishing for big fish. It helps our stringers. But what it does, too, for guys who maybe, you know, struggled on day 1, day 2, it only takes 1 swing to win almost $1,000. So that incentive to go out there and fish for that big fish on the second day, it helps kind of get over the heartache of the loss of the first day.
And are you seeing how cool these are?
They're cool. I got one in my house, and I tell you what, I cherish it.
Your favorite accomplishment as a pro angler, Shane? Favorite accomplishment? What was that? I know you've won boats. You've fished from coast to coast. You've been a pro for almost 2 decades.
Almost, yeah.
What is the single favorite Shane Moline fishing accomplishment?
2 years ago, almost 2 years ago to the date, it was just a couple days ago that it was 2 years to the date, my wife and I won a boat right here on Lake Havasu.
Whoa.
Fishing the Bass Pro Open. We won a nice Nitro Z7.
That's so cool. Now, you and your wife won that.
Yeah, we won.
But you're here with your girlfriend today?
Hey.
Oh, no, that's your wife. I'm sorry. I get you. You guys look so similar. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's going to take me some work to get over that one.
I'm going to be in trouble after that, aren't I?
No, for sure.
Gosh, I'm sorry. Anglers are coming in, aren't they?
They are. I mean, we're seeing them stage. Now we're seeing them coming in. The first flight's just ending. Guys are already trailering their boats, and I've seen bags go out. So it won't be long before we have fish on the scales and see where how today transpired.
What do you think this wind is going to do to that bite that we haven't seen in the last 2 hours?
It's too bad it didn't start about 2 hours earlier, because it typically takes a little bit to get these fish positioned. The good thing is we're looking out across the lake. We're seeing a lot of boat traffic, and that does help position them too. A combination of both. If guys played their cards right and they were at the right spot when they needed to be, and they know how they're positioned, they're going to catch them. You're going to see the guys come up here and say, yeah, I caught him late.
Well, that's exciting. And but without further ado, let's get into what we do know, folks, because we know some stuff. I mean, we got out. We were out for 4 or 5 hours on the water. We zipped around the lake. We peeked in on a dozen or so anglers, maybe more, maybe less. As we look at the top 10, Shane, knowing what we know, you think we're going to see any surprises, any guys coming from out of the top 10 to crack the top 10?
I don't think we're going to see a surprise out of the top 10. One guy we are going to see coming with a big bag, because he never goes 2 days without catching a big bag, is Justin Kerr. He's a local here. We do have some intel that he had a limit and he was calling. So if Justin Kerr's calling on this lake, he's on him and he's catching them. So I do see him moving up. Coming out of the top 10, Ty Al is just solid. Like I said, I talked to him yesterday, and he was on him. He just couldn't get him to the boat. Robert Lee solid. Troy Linder, we know he had a limit early. We know it was small, but that was early. We talked to him almost first thing when we were on the water, and he's had a long day since we seen him. And you have to trust that Troy's going to get on him again. Yeah,
he's excellent fisherman everywhere we go. And just to put some of this in perspective again for you folks, we talked to a handful or a couple handfuls of anglers. Roughly only about 25% of the anglers we talked to had a limit at that time, but again, that was hours ago. I suspect we'll see again, probably about half the field have a limit again today. What do you think? Bite tougher, bite easier today?
At breakfast this morning I said it was going to be better, but all predictions were that wind was going to pick up early like we were talking, and I think we're going to mirror yesterday pretty good. I think the weights are going to be about the same, the limits are going to be about the same. I do think there's a possibility of having a good 20-pound bag today. Someone coming up from the bottom, maybe even our leader again, catching him again. He's obviously on the right kind. We know him and Roy Hawk are fishing very close to each other.
Yep.
And Roy's got this lake dialed too, so we could see a 20-pound bag there.
Yeah, and I one of the other statistics I didn't share with you guys already that I should have is that from 1st to 10th place we have a 5-pound spread. So, not a big spread, but a 5-pound spread. But from 10th to 20th place, we only have a 1-pound separation, right? So you could see people from anywhere in the top 10. And then one of the points Gary made this morning when we did some of our live coverage then, he said, well, gosh, how about top 40? I mean, you really only have 3.5 pounds from 40th place up to 10th place. So we could see a lot of movement today with the wind picking up as tough as the bite was early.
Yeah, we only talked to maybe 10 anglers in our trip this morning, but there's a lot of anglers from 10 to 40th place that, they're off our radar.
Yeah.
We have no idea what they're doing, and there's a lot of good anglers that typically bring in good bags here.
Right.
And, those kind of anglers usually rebound after a subpar day.
Yeah. In our top 10, we know that some of these guys had a tough day. Jason Valdivia jumps out. He's in 9th place. What happened to Jason out there today?
David?
David, I'm sorry.
He went down south and started on some big bedfish, and it didn't work out for him. He stuck with it a little too long maybe, but he did get up here before the wind started. They were just picking up when we seen him, so he's up here, and he can make a rebound. But if he don't, he's going to be super disappointed at the time he spent on those bedfish and didn't get him to go.
Yeah, one of the other anglers in our top of our leaderboard here is Randy Pearson, and when we watched Randy fish quite a bit, he had 3 fish for roughly 9.5 pounds is what he thought he had, and he was a little bit frustrated. That was right at noon, but what he didn't know was that pretty much everybody else we talked to was in a similar situation.
Yeah, Randy was actually, when we were leaving him, he talked to us. He was making us. He was making a change. He said he was going to scrap what he started, what he was fishing, and he was making a change. He said the boat traffic had kind of pushed the fish out of his area. He was going to move to some deeper stuff, and we did get some intel after we got back that he had got back on him. So look for Randy Pearson to come in with another solid limit.
Yeah, we've got the Randy Pearson traveling fan club out here. He travels with 30, 40 people. It's it's really amazing. He's signing autographs. He's doing video shoots with them. He's really one of the most famous anglers on the planet. And Randy is culling. We know that. Randy's culled at least twice. We got that information coming in. And, well, we're going to do another quick break, my friend. So without further ado, we're going to take a little bit of a break here and thank some of our fantastic sponsors, and we will be right back.